Today, we're diving into something that feels like it's pulled right from a sci-fi movie, but is happening right now. We're talking about a new medical AI from Google Research that is seriously shaking up our ideas about what's possible in healthcare.
So let's just get right to it with the big question. Could an AI actually be better at diagnosing you than a human doctor? I know, it sounds pretty wild, but the data we're about to look at suggests it's a question we absolutely have to start taking seriously.
And here it is. This is the headline that got everyone talking. According to a 2024 paper published on Archive, in a head-to-head comparison, a new research AI system didn't just keep up with, it actually outperformed experienced primary care physicians in simulated diagnostic chats. So, what is this thing? Well, let's meet the system at the heart of this incredible story. Its name is AMIE. AMIE stands for Articulate Medical Intelligence Explorer. At its core, it's a large language model, or LLM, from the team at Google Research. Now, that means it's an AI trained on just massive amounts of information to understand and talk like a human. But here's the key difference. Unlike a general chatbot, AMIE has been laser-focused and specifically optimized for one incredibly difficult job: having a medical diagnostic conversation. So, how in the world do you even go about proving that an AI can do a better job than a doctor? Well, you have to put it through its paces. You make it take the same kind of tough tests that doctors themselves have to face.
And in the medical field, the gold standard for that is something called the OSCE. That stands for Objective Structured Clinical Examination. The easiest way to think about it, it's basically a practical driving test for doctors. They have to interact with trained actors who are pretending to be patients with very specific conditions, and they're graded on everything: how they ask questions, their bedside manner, and, of course, how accurate their diagnosis is.
Okay, so the researchers set up a text-based version of this exact exam. They pitted AMI against 20 real human primary care physicians. And this is the crucial part. It was all double-blind. That means the patient actors had no idea if they were talking to an AI or a person. And the specialists who were grading the conversations, they didn't know either. And they didn't just do this once or twice. They ran it across 149 different medical case scenarios to make sure the results were solid. And boom, here are the results pulled right from that 2024 research paper. Let's just break this down real quick. The blue bars, that's the human doctors. The red bars, that's AME. And as you can see, in almost every single category that the specialist physicians graded on, from taking a patient's medical history to showing empathy all the way to getting the diagnosis right, the red bars are longer. The AI was rated as superior. This just begs a massive question, right? How did an AI get this good this fast? Well, the answer is in how it learns, which is frankly just as innovative as the AI itself. So let's get into the secret sauce here. The secret is a method called self-play. What Google's researchers did was create this incredible simulated world where AMIE gets to play doctor and another AI gets to play the patient. It can then run through thousands upon thousands of these practice appointments, getting instant feedback and tweaking its approach every single time. It's like practice on steroids.
You know, this whole approach is a huge leap from the way AI has traditionally been trained, which is called reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF. Think of RLHF like a teacher having to grade every single piece of homework by hand. It works, but it's incredibly slow and expensive. AMIE's training uses a newer method, RLAIF, reinforcement learning from AI feedback. With this, you basically teach a second AI to be the teacher. And that AI teacher can give feedback millions of times, making the whole learning process way faster, more scalable, and you could argue, less prone to human error.
So what does this AI feedback loop, which sources like Labelbox have analyzed, actually look like? Well, it's a pretty brilliant multi-step process. First, you start with a base AI and you give it a constitution, a set of rules for how to be helpful and safe. Then, you use that AI to create a giant library of what perfect conversations should look like. Next, you train a second AI to be a judge, teaching it to recognize a good, safe, and accurate medical answer. And finally, this AI judge just sits there and constantly scores the main AI's practice sessions, guiding it, pushing it to get better and better. It's this amazing, automated, self-improvement cycle.
But look, real medicine isn't just about a single one-and-done diagnosis, right? It's about looking after a person's health over weeks, months, or even years. So the researchers knew they had to push AMIE to the next level. And honestly, they said it best themselves in a follow-up paper. This quote really says it all. Just getting the diagnosis right isn't enough.
For an AI to be truly useful in a clinic, it has to be able to handle what's called management reasoning. That means creating treatment plans, scheduling follow-ups, and changing course as a patient's condition evolves.
So to make that happen, they actually redesigned the whole system. What you're seeing in this diagram is a version of AMIE that basically has two brains, inspired by the thinking fast and slow model of how our own minds work. You've got the dialogue agent on the left, which handles the fast, friendly, empathetic conversation. And then you have the management reasoning agent, which does the slow, careful, deep thinking needed to create a solid, evidence-based care plan.
And to test this new and improved system, they created an even more challenging study. This time, the OSCE wasn't just one conversation. It involved 3 separate visits spread out over several days. This was designed to force the AI to do what a real doctor does: remember the patient's history, check in on their progress, and adjust the plan over time.
And you guessed it, the results were just as stunning. So this is a spider chart. Amy's performance is in red, and the human doctors are in blue. All you need to know is, the further out a point is from the center, the better the score. And as you can see, the red shape is just bigger than the blue one pretty much all the way around, meaning AMIE was again rated higher overall, especially in those really important long-term areas, like how precise its treatments were and how well it followed clinical guidelines.
So what does preciseness actually mean in the real world? Well, it means instead of a vague suggestion like, yeah, you should probably prescribe an antibiotic, AI would give a complete, actionable plan. It would name the specific antibiotic, the exact dose, how to take it, and for how long. I mean, for a busy doctor, that level of detail is a complete game changer.
Okay, so after seeing all of this incredible performance, what's the final verdict? Is an AI doctor about to show up at your next appointment? Let's talk about what the future might look like. Now, let's pump the brakes for just a second, because this is really important. The researchers themselves are super clear about the study's limitations. This was all done through text chat, which isn't how most medicine happens. They used trained actors, not real, unpredictable patients with complex lives. And the study didn't cover a wide range of different people. So this is a huge research milestone, for sure, but it is not a finished product ready to be rolled out in clinics tomorrow.
But even with all those important caveats, you just can't ignore how significant this is. Amy's performance marks a massive step forward. It shows us a realistic path to a future where AI could be an incredibly powerful tool to help doctors to ease their massive workloads, improve how quickly and accurately we get diagnoses, and maybe, just maybe, expand access to high-quality medical advice for everyone.
Which kind of brings us back to our first big question, but with a little twist. Maybe the question isn't whether an AI will ever replace your doctor. Maybe the real question is, how soon will your doctor be working alongside an AI just like this one? It's something to think about as we watch the future of healthcare unfold right before our eyes. Thanks for joining this explainer.